It's 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. Beautiful sounds can be heard coming from the basement of Bowling Green State University's Hannah Hall. What many may consider to be an unknown foreign music is not thought to be music at all by those creating the sound. This is an evening prayer ceremony held by BGSU's Muslim Student Association. My name is Brandon Bryant, and I aim to find the relationships between the voice, music, and Islam. My first question I want to ask, is there any forms of music that are used in any typical Islamic worship practices?
No. The Quran is chanted. We call it, it's more, I guess it could be construed as singing, but it's more of a chant than it is an effort to sing. Even though the rhythm or the cadence of it, it sounds eloquent depending on the reciter. It's still not considered for any of us to be singing or in the spirit of singing at all. There are some songs that are sung in celebrations and other cultural events that would take place. But when it comes to the Quran, the prayer, the adhan, and those things, those are all considered efforts at chanting. And so it's a little different. Of course, there's no music
Right.
played with it. It's all in the human voice.
Well, we'll have to differentiate like what we call music. When you say music, you mean instrumental music, then I will have to say that no. And you won't find any Islamic practices which are part of core teachings of Islam or part of the core practices of Islam which are in any way used or practiced. But if you mean by music vocal music, like the modulation of the voice, and without any instruments, like normal use of mouth and all of that skill, that is allowed, and that is in fact used in our prayer, in our call for prayer, and in our general recitation of the book. I mean, it's a very deep question. I don't know if I answered that correctly, but this is how I feel. The main difference between how can you classify something as a song or singing and something that is not a song? If the focus of that thing is the music of the song or the vocal music and ups and downs and intonations and all of those things, it may qualify as a song. But if the focus is not that and the focus is something else, it has a purpose, then it's not a song. A song typically doesn't have a purpose. Song is something you do for leisure, like for entertainment, for something like, you passing time or something. It doesn't, like, there may be war songs and there may be other things, but that still remains as a minority, like a tip. So I don't call that a song because it's not for people's entertainment. It has a very fixed purpose, number one. Number two is, you don't have to necessarily sing it. The content is what is important. But
So you would say the main difference is kind of the intent of the sound. For example, if I'm just trying to pass time or just create something that sounds beautiful, that someone would enjoy to listen to, that would be more music and song compared to as if I'm doing something to worship or give praise to. That would kind of be the difference between the recitement with a soothing voice and the song.
yeah, so like that's my working definition.
The instruments are inventions of human beings, or an extension of a human being. And so the instrument in and of itself doesn't offer any praise whatsoever. It's used to enhance or maybe add a sentiment or an emotional content to it in addition to the human voice. People, the one thing that Islam doesn't come to do is to move people so far away from their cultural expression and their traditions that it consumes their life. And many people bring into religion with them, especially people who convert to it. They bring in their life. The life that they were living comes along with it. It doesn't just change overnight. And maybe some of it doesn't go away at all. And in many people, in many cultures, you know, they love music. They love their traditional music, and they love their instruments.
And our belief that God loves beauty. And with a beautiful voice, you could drag a lot of people just to listen to this beautiful voice. So with a beautiful voice, and also a beautiful, or as we see it, a beautiful and amazing words come up together. So this will make the worship that you also love to do.
No one should feel or think that music is so sinful that they shouldn't have music in their cultural life, and that music isn't just as a whole forbidden in Islam.
As this issue is poorly addressed in the scholarship of Islam, I would say the Muslim scholars or the scholars of Islam should do more study and research and explore Quran and Hadith to understand what actually Islam talks about this. More in-depth understanding of the perspectives of Islam concerning music, which is important. Why? You see, like the world we are living today, how saturated music and these things around. And now if you just categorically say, oh, it is haram, it is forbidden, it's very hard to protect your generation. You have to, if it is haram, why it is haram? There has to be some reasoning, some wisdom behind. And if the scholars of Islam, they do research, in-depth study, they will find those wisdom. And then you can communicate with your community that these are the reasons and the wisdom behind. And that's why we encourage these, we don't encourage this. You can talk about that.